We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get sushi after Monday Night Raw?
What's going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It's, of course, Saturday, September 6th. We're going to break down an electric SmackDown from my hometown of Chicago before I have to watch my university, the University of Kansas, take on Mizzou. That's going to be at the end of the show. We're going to break down SmackDown, though. Let me introduce my co-host. Can't do it without a sweet, sweet cast. First and foremost, I'm going to send this one to Philadelphia. He's my co-host over on Sold Separately. He also just went to a Eagles victory on Thursday night, which is fascinating. I had to watch my Chiefs lose last night. I'm nervous about today and everything. Anthony, you have to be feeling pretty darn good right about now, though, huh?
I mean, it was closer than I would have liked on Thursday, but when you're putting out that kind of money for tickets for the home opener, a win is always helpful. In those situations, we had a jam-packed SmackDown last night. Had its moments, particularly the end, which we will get to. But it's always fun doing these. And as a consolation prize to the other co-host, I am sorry for your loss.
We're going to get into that next. I got to introduce a good friend of mine. He may be in Massachusetts, but he is our resident Cowboy fan. I don't think he'll be watching any Westerns this week or wants to be reminded about the results of that one. But Des, matching t-shirts with Anthony today. Why didn't you guys send me the memo?
You're right. I don't know. I was deciding what shirt to put on today, and I'm like, you know what? I'll put the CM Punk shirt. I was going to put the Portugal shirt because Ronaldo in Portugal played today, but then I saw Anthony had the Eagles hat, and then it just soured the entire outfit. Because if I actually wore the Cowboys hat, it actually would have been pretty funny. But I'm doing good, guys. Hell of a SmackDown yesterday. A SmackDown that we'll be talking about for quite some time, and I can't wait to get into it.
Absolutely. I thought it was electric. You'll hear me talk a little bit about it on the Wrestling Republic podcast later. I did that this morning somehow. But you know, Ben's been a little critical of Chicago crowds lately. I thought there was nothing wrong with it. This was vintage Rosemont. This was exactly what you want. This was Philly, Chicago, cities like that, where you have an educated fan base. And when I say educated, I mean wrestling educated. I'm not talking about colleges. That's later. But for a wrestling fan base, they know the product, they know what they're doing, and I don't mind it in the least. I found it pretty fascinating, and I know you're chomping at the bit.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. When you talk about those hardcore cities of wrestling fans, they don't just cheer stuff because the companies want them to cheer stuff. They will tell you what they like and what they don't like. They're not just going to go, yay, no matter what it is, which is always the constant complaint. The international crowds is that, oh, well, they're just happy to have them there. Like, that's always the complaint where it's like, well, if they were there for 52 weeks a year, do you think you'd get the same reaction as you do when you're only getting it once a year? And that's always a complaint. But Chicago is one of those hardcore towns. Philly is obviously AEW is doing 2,300 for the next couple of weeks. And they're passionate. I don't view it as anything more than passionate fan bases.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. Let's get right actually into our first topic. Why would we not? While we're here. And also, we've got a few comments out of the gates. Of course, we've got good afternoon, WR from Fernando Zayas. Absolutely appreciate that. Chi-Town in the house, no doubt. And then Zach Minger with Happy International Bacon Day.
Bacon Day. I had bacon yesterday.
I someday want to see a source cited. Where are you getting all these days from? I don't know. They're not on my calendar.
Sure. Just look up Happy International and then it pops up.
Yeah,
anything.
I just Could be anything.
Yeah.
Speaking of could be anything, we've got John Cena taking on Sami Zayn last night. Cena, weirdly early in the day, it's announced it's his final SmackDown. And I was like, huh? Ever?
No.
Huh? This seems a little bit last second that you announced it this morning. Sami Zayn, I dug the callback to
His debut.
The debut as well as the callback to the Open Challenge.
Yeah.
I liked both of those. I liked all the callbacks throughout the match. And then you have one more of Brock Lesnar ruining everybody's party.
Yes.
But thoughts wise, I want to get yours on this, Ant. What did you think of the match? And can you really believe that this is actually Cena's last SmackDown? I feel like I'm not buying it.
I feel like this is one of those things where they keep saying, oh, this is Cena's last this and last that. And I'm like, are you really telling me that he will never make an appearance again? I mean, The Undertaker makes appearances. Like, so are you really telling me there's no possibility of any Raw reunion, 30th anniversary of SmackDown? You're seriously telling me Cena's not, there's no possibility Cena will appear at all? You're really telling me that? Because I'm going to call BS on that. I find it very hard to believe that he won't make an appearance on that. If you want to say it's his last SmackDown as an active competitor, you can make that argument if you want. Not that anybody ever truly stays retired in wrestling. Who has? Austin was the closest, and then he came back for a Mania match. Shawn Michaels came back. Here, Saudi pays very well for that, allegedly.
Yeah.
No, but Cena against Sami Zayn as a whole, it is a full callback. Sami Zayn's debut on the main roster was answering the Open Challenge. He literally got injured on the way to the ring, his shoulder. I liked the match as a whole. I don't really think the Cena retirement run. I've never been really a true Cena guy. So the retirement run really hasn't meant much to me as a whole, because I grew up in the generation prior to Cena. I grew up in the generation of Austin and Rock, and there was resentment towards Cena. I love that Cena did a lot of callbacks. He did the GTS representing his feud with Punk. He did the Spear as representative of his feud with Edge. It was a nice match. You knew Cena probably wasn't winning the US title. If it was the IC, you might have had a chance, only because he never held it. And then, Brock coming out being the turd in the punch bowl, showing that, hey, I'm not friends with anybody. I'll just take anybody out. They're building towards the WrestlePalooza match, which is
no doubt
a very smart move to do.
Absolutely. And we've got a comment here, obviously, from also friend of the show, guy from the show. Hello,
Ignacio.
Guys. And he's listening and watching closely. Shout out Ignacio. Andrea Levenstein with hi. What did I miss? Not a ton. We're just still talking about Cena and Sammy from last night, as well as Brock's, run in and return at the end. I did find one thing interesting. Sami Zayn, I think, is one of the best baby faces in the industry.
Yeah.
And I put over the Chicago crowd early in this show already.
Yeah.
Maybe that is what you missed, Andrea. I do apologize for that one. But at the same time, the Chicago crowd didn't treat Sammy with the best. And there was a time very recently where John Cena could not step in that Rosemont building and without getting booed. Like that, we all are aware of that.
Yes.
Sami Zayn is as over as any babyface, and he was not to be helped with that crowd. I don't think it affects long term at all.
No. It's the Cena retirement.
You
effect.
never know, though. Some of that kind of stuff is like a disease, and it spreads. And it spreads, and it suddenly gets fun to do it because it feels like you're breaking the rules or you're doing something wrong as a crowd. And that made me a little nervous, even given what I said earlier about how great the Chicago crowd was for this. I want to be careful in this because I still believe we got to get Sammy to that Rumble. We got to get Sammy to that Rumble in the spot where everybody wants it. I think everybody does right now. Des, I do want to ask you about all this, including Brock's return, the match itself, Sammy, everything we've broken down so far, man. Your thoughts?
I gotta say, I was really on par with the idea about John Cena's heel turn. Ever since Cena got that fire back, he has not put on bad matches, and his promos have been fantastic. It leaves a sour taste in my mouth because we're going to look at this in 5 years and be like, oh, remember when John Cena had the retirement tour? Yeah, he turned heel and had fine matches with, nostalgic feuds. And remember the second half of his retirement tour? That was when he really turned it up to 11. The match was fantastic. In my head, as much as I like Cena, as you can see over here, I thought he was done, man. After that match with Cody, I'm like, Cena, you can't go anymore, and it's fine, right? But then the ring rust started coming off, and the guy's pulling off, pop rock, spears, GTSs, angle slams, hurricanranas. He's doing the whole 9 yards, and it's like, okay, maybe Cena can still go with a lot of these young bucks in WWE, right? With Sami Zayn, Anthony mentioned, a callback to their match in 2015, and it was a hell of a match. It was a really good match. Now, unfortunately, I did expect the Brock Lesnar return, so it didn't really sour the match for me. I was more so all right, it's going to happen eventually, but might as well enjoy this while I can, right? The idea of Lesnar versus Cena, I'm going to be honest, it doesn't appeal to me at all. I've already seen it, but I get it. It's his biggest hits, right? And Lesnar's been one of his biggest rivals, so I understand why they're doing it. I just am happy with the fact they're doing it now instead of doing it in December. If Brock Lesnar was his last match, that would have not gone well with me at all. But the fact that it's at WrestlePalooza is fine.
Des, you're spot on. I love what you just said there. If it was the last match, I would be beside myself.
Yeah.
That is unacceptable. I'm kind of cool with it now. I was at SummerSlam 14 when Brock, what did he suplex him? Was it 36 consecutive times?
16, dude. That was the first wrestling event where I cried as a kid.
It's the most I've had. No way, really?
It was a long tour of Suplex City.
Gosh.
Dude, that was when Suplex City was born.
I was in college and I had a really awesome date to that show and then the Emmys the next day. That was one of the best weekends I've ever had. And then we were kind of weirdly at the time rooting for Brock. I wouldn't in hindsight have done so, but I thought it was funny.
You were always pro heel, Clark. Let's be real.
Yeah,
I've
been a fan of the heels, man.
I get it.
I think it's, you know what? I think everyone says being a heel is an easy job. I actually think it's the harder job.
No, I think it's easy. I think it's really easy. You can do whatever you want.
No, because if you get too heelish, you get to a point where you're cool and it's endearing.
That's
like
fair.
Piper and MJF.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I actually think the art of being a true heel is the most difficult job. Because the other thing is that you're fighting natural human instinct. Mm-hmm. People have empathy, right? And you're playing a character that does not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a difficult task in my eyes. That might be a conversation for another day because we could probably spend the rest of the show on that.
Sure.
One.
I think
one, Fernando.
I think before it was revealed that
I'm not actually.
Yeah. I think before it was revealed that this is all work, it was probably much easier to be a heel because people thought you really are that rotten person. Now it's kind of viewed like acting. You're really good at it. So people respect the craft.
Yeah.
And I think it was easier to truly be hated back then.
Okay, by the way, that is one of the most nuanced, fascinating points you've ever given on the show, and I'm just only bitter at myself I didn't give a camera cut.
I agree.
That was that is delightful. More
redo it,
whatever.
There you go. Run it back.
Yeah, feed me more. Sorry, whoa, not like that, but not a
Ryback reference.
No shout out to the turtle guy or whatever. What was his name? Yeah, Ryback. You said it.
The turtle guy.
We do have more to talk about today.
Do we?
Okay. Let's move on to the next topic. We'll break down Psych on the next show in the following hour.
There you
go. Just pure psychology show. No, but Damian Priest and Aleister Black, who I've been highly critical of on this very program, put on something pretty cool last night. And I thought it was kind of easy to overlook, giving the hot start to the show and the heat of the finish of the show. But that black mass sent him to the shadow realm.
It did.
That might be the best kick outside of a Sweet Chin Music I've seen in multiple decades.
Or Claymore. I would say those three
Claymores,
are up there.
there's some pretty good ones, but no, the
Oh, yeah.
one specifically last night,
That
the
was
delivery,
nuts.
and Priest deserves credit for this, bro.
He's a good
Priest
seller,
deserves
man.
a lot of credit for this because he looked out of it. And I'm going to you, man. What were your thoughts on the matchup? This rivalry, though, is really, I feel like, been renewed.
Yeah, I mean, if you were looking at one highlight from that match, it's the Black Mass. It's the way Alistair delivered it and the way Damian sold it. I would not be shocked if somewhere on the internet somebody doesn't take that clip, turns it black and white, and puts a giant wasted from on there because, yeah, absolutely. Shadow Realm is a perfect example on that. They're very similar. Alistair and Damian, when you look at their style of wrestling, it's hard hitting. They both do the kicks. Alistair a little bit more so than Damian does. But it was a TV match. Like, you kind of want that to continue on a pay-per-view where they're given more time to kind of really do stuff. It's particularly memorable because of the finish. I think the finish was what people will remember. People will remember that kick and how perfect it was. And the fact that he beat him clean. I'm curious to see where this goes from here, if this further escalates, because I feel they're pushing Alistair, and I feel like Damian's kind of stuck because he's been at the mountaintop, but he's kind of in this weird position right now. So I'm curious to see where this feud goes.
I am as well, 100%. And Des, I also really want to get your thoughts because it is interesting. Anthony brought up a great point. They are both kickboxers. And so it's a unique matchup from a striking perspective and whatnot. Des, I want to get your thoughts on it.
I gotta say, I was doing like a little tier list of base like wrestling finishers and like how much they would actually hurt. And I honestly think if the way Aleister Black delivers a Black Mass, like you would be incapacitated. Like your head would be rolling like a bowling ball. The way he delivers that kick, it's like night, good night, Irene. Like you're not getting back up. But I gotta say, really thought the match was also really good. This is a match for me where Sheamus and Rusev really set up the bar where it's like, okay, this mid-card feud could have the legs to be on the PLE. And I feel like Damian Priest and Aleister Black has the legs to be on ESPN. Like you mentioned, they're kickboxers, right? Martial arts. What does the ESPN have right now? UFC. People who might look at WWE and be like, oh, it's fake and scripted, they'll see these two guys who have a legitimate background, martial arts, and be like, oh, okay, maybe I will watch Aleister Black. Maybe I will watch Damian Priest. So I feel like that's something they should push towards WrestlePalooza. This feud has been reignited. I think Aleister Black is super underrated. Priest has done such a great job in the feud, too. He is really like established himself as one of the main event players on SmackDown. Even if he's not on the main event scene, he's like that dude, and he's done such a great job ever since he became World Heavyweight Champion. Really excited for this feud, and I'll throw it back to you guys.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm excited about it as well myself, Des. And I mean, this is one I feel like that needs to be paid off in like just a absolute slugfest of sorts, which Priest, to his credit, low key has sort of established himself as the guy for that match. Bad Bunny, unlimited weapons. He's done it with McIntyre. He's done it with almost everybody. And I don't know that Priest has ever really gotten Gunther. I don't know that he's ever really gotten credit for that. And it's funny because I have really, it's not that I ever doubted Priest. I always thought I like him. There's something there. His steady ascension. I have as much respect for him as almost anybody on the men's side of the roster right now. I think he's doing amazing work no matter what situation he's in.
Yeah, I think if you put them in an underground match or some type of whatever that octagon thing that they did, not the one that they did with Riddle and Seth. I forget what the name of that one was. With that type of match would work.
That was the fight pit with the
fight pit,
the platforms. I think because of the size of the two guys. Honestly, you've done the partnership with Bloodsport. You've allowed WWE talent to work Bloodsport. Do a co-promoted Bloodsport match between these two at a show, and let it happen, I think it would be amazing.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
also for blood sport, kickboxing is not normally like, it's normally more grappling based. You could put on a very unique blood sport-esque match with Street Fighter coming out soon. Not bad timing for some punches and some kicks.
I'm sure there'll be a giant Street Fighter logo in the center of the ring.
Well, whoa. Let's not knock people trying to make money. But
I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that's what they're going to do.
The plugs.
At the same time, we've got a bunch of comments. Fernando's eyes with actors say villains are more fun to play. That depends on the actor, but I hear you. Hey, only a Sith lives his life in absolutes. Haven't you seen Star Wars? But knocked the eyeliner off that boy, LOL. Good Lord. Alistair needs to win this match. And then knock the Sonic rings out of him. And then also Paramount got UFC, which is
they did.
Yes,
it does, yeah. For next year.
I mean, I was watching Sports Center last night, by the way, and you'll love this because I live on the West Coast with cable. I'm watching Sports Center before AJ Lee returns on the West Coast showing of SmackDown.
It's on Sports Center.
They showed it on Sports Center.
Spoiler alert.
And they took it down. It's kind of wild, but I also do respect it. Speaking of things I respect, let me talk to you really quick about Barista Coffee. If you're looking for a nice little boost in the morning, check out Barista. It's small batch organic coffee created through excellence, authenticity, and unforgettable moments. Go over to barista.com, check it out. There's merch, there's coffee, there's all kinds of great things over there. But also, while I'm asking for favors, go to Wrestling Republic Undercard and subscribe to our second channel, the Wrestling Republic Undercard, for exclusive videos, clips, and more. You're going to see sold separately. You're going to see grappling for position. You're going to see more short form content, all kinds of stuff. If you like the main page, if you like the shows, you are going to enjoy Undercard. Check it out. But we aren't done just yet. We aren't done just yet. Des, I know you've been chomping at the bit to talk about this one. Listen, I cover NXT every Tuesday, and I think Julia is sublime since she's been called up. But before I toss this to you, I want to say this. I don't get it. We've got Julia and Michin here, and I don't get it. What is happening? Kiana James as the manager makes some sense. I don't get it. Can you just do me a favor and explain?
I'll do what I can. I mean, the match was fine. They really lack that mid-card presence for the Women's United States Championship, right? At least they're trying, right? They're putting the title on the card. They're having Julia defend it, right? She's doing what she can. They're getting Meechin some screen time. They really would benefit, I feel like, of having like maybe a Lyra Valkyria, right? If Lyra leaves Raw and she goes to SmackDown, helps elevate that championship, right? Charlotte and Alexa, they're in a tag team right now. So it just seems like they're like maybe a Bayley could also help, right? Because right now, the way that the SmackDown Women's United States Championship is being booked right now, it's not the great. It's not the greatest right now, right? You got Chelsea, you got Meechin, you got B-Fab. They really need like that really big threat. Well, actually, Julia's a big threat. They need that one person that can combat Julia in terms of star power, right? Because we know how good Julia is. And at this rate, she might be the champion for like forever at this point, because I don't think anyone's even close to beating her, and they haven't really given a lot of competition and really planted that doubt in people's mind that Julia's going to lose. Meechin, she's great, but how many times is she going to go for a Women's United States Championship, right? She won it once, and that was it. Besides that, not a lot of people thought she had a chance. So I really hope they can try and elevate this championship more. It's just, I guess they're doing what they can, but I really feel like they should showcase Julia more and really give her like that formidable opponent.
I gotta say this though, the logical one is Stephanie Vaquer, and she's not available. She's not on that side of the roster. That's the logical. Everything you just described exists, and I'm trying to figure out that equation as much as I am, because Meechin's awesome. But when's the last time we saw Meechin win a televised match of relevance? Like
the dumpster match?
Yeah, wasn't a dumpster match?
Yeah. How about by pinfall? Let's see. How far do we have to go back? Yeah, Kobe, Google that. Are you in the comments? That's the
probably have to go to NXT.
Someone
for that.
go to cage match. Like
maybe
it doesn't
NXT,
make
yeah.
any sense to me. That's the sad
Wow.
part to me. I don't think it's Julia's fault. I don't think it's Michin's fault.
Mhm.
Right. And Des, I like what you said about like building the US title and stuff. Fuck, Hair's the logical opponent at this point. But
Yeah.
you gotta have star power versus star power. Aunt You is in the comments here with Lash Legend
Yeah,
or
I agree.
Sporuka or Jada Parker. I don't mind any of that. What are your
Me
thoughts
either.
though, Anthony? Because I got to get your opinion on this as well.
I think it's very tough for secondary women's titles in wrestling as a whole. I mean, technically, Mercedes has the TBS title, but she has so many other belts. I think that's kind of fallen by the wayside too. The Intercontinental on Raw, now it's become interesting because of AJ Lee's return, because now that comes into a factor. But like you said, Clark, you kind of need stars facing other stars to make the belt mean something. And we really haven't gotten that. Like Chelsea had a lot of potential as the US champion, but then they took it off of her. And it's kind of just been eh. The Intercontinental's kind of struggled. So the mid-card women's titles, I hate to say it, they don't have that oomph behind them. You could probably say the same thing about the men's Intercontinental and US at different points. Like it's very hard in wrestling to get a secondary title a push without, you get it when there's a real dominant reign like Gunther did with the Intercontinental title, but
Right.
any other time it's off peak, it doesn't really have the emphasis, and you have a limited amount of TV time, and you have
I
too
hear
many
ya.
titles in wrestling to feature all of them.
Yeah. I think it's a good point. It is interesting. And also, I mean, that's where you can start to delve into show structure as well. But we do have a really interesting comment from friend of the show, Andrea here. Maybe Becky will move to SmackDown once AJ takes the title from her, or they'll switch the titles and AJ stays with the title and Julia goes to Raw. That's possible. I mean, you got OP with Shayna Baszler. I don't know about that.
Yeah,
If
not
Julia started hosting
open
if
challenges.
Julia started
That'd be interesting.
hosting open challenges, that would be fire. And I'm actually in agreement there.
In agreement too.
I think they picked the wrong United States champion to run that gimmick.
I think that only works though, because typically the open challengers are baby faces to do it, because the heels are not going to be like, I'm not going to put my belt under a mystery opponent. They're not going to do that. They're not stupid. The baby faces do that stupid shit.
I think the mystery of Julia, if you have her squash people in open challenges,
Asuka did back in the day.
Yeah, that I think is more of the play, right? The mystery of Julia, and you can because there's always the little bit of nuance in the middle ground there. I agree with you on if she's going open challenge. Don't make it like Cody Rhodes. Don't make it like John Cena at all. Make it like I'm gonna hurt you.
Honestly,
and maybe even have her start kayfabe injuring people.
Honestly, Asuka really wouldn't be a bad choice. Like if you wanted to move her and have her feud with Julia, that's not a bad move.
And you've got a great comment here too. He's like, with Kiana being the X Factor, it would make it still heelish and funny. Yeah, you got the brick.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that always.
And you could do the Jada Parker beating her, because she's also a fan of using bricks, so that can kind of work.
Well played. Okay, let's move on to our main event of the afternoon, evening, morning, depends on where you are geographically. But I want to spend some time on this one because AJ Lee has returned, and don't you dare think it was lost upon me that John Cena is a 17-time world champion, and the combined years that CM Punk and AJ Lee missed from wrestling while they were away was 17, 7 and 10, as they were hugging last night in Chicago.
They are kind of concurrent, Clark, but
I want to be clear. I'm a numbers guy at times, and that one added up in my brain. I figured that one out. What does it mean? I'm not sure. I'll tell you what, another thing that I loved about this, because Becky Lynch deserves a boatload of credit for what she accomplished Monday night and what she accomplished last night. but arguably my favorite promo segment in WWE history occurred in the very same building when Mankind removed his mask and announced his replacement to take on Triple H for the WWE title at the Royal Rumble. That happened at Allstate Arena as well. And he removed the mask and the shirt, and he was Cactus Jack. And guess what Triple H did? He looked like he saw a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the greatest selling jobs I've ever seen. That's what Becky looked like when AJ Lee's music hit. I think it's up there with that. Becky Lynch deserves that credit. And believe you me, I'm not done talking yet, because I am going to give AJ Lee plenty of credit, because she looked like she came out of a time machine from the last time we saw her in the ring. What in the wide world of sports?
She hasn't aged.
What an unbelievable return. You cannot make it better. If I'm going to nitpick, because I'm going to ask you both about this, so I'm just going to get all my stuff out of the way here. I'm going to nitpick. I had one issue. Two. I didn't love when Becky addressed that the crowd was chanting AJ Lee's name directly. AJ Lee is close enough to Becky. I would have died if she just goes, thank you. Like she's being chanted for, not the same way that you would get from like Chad Gable, but right, just like a Becky, just to save the surprise. And then CM Punk doubled down on it. He gave us the list of names he could get, but then he said AJ's before the music hit. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter. Those are the only negatives I saw about this. Everything else about it was absolutely sublime. Des, I got to ask you about it. Obviously, you're wearing a Punk shirt, so you haven't recovered even from it. So I'm going to start with you on this one. What were your thoughts on AJ Lee's return and CM Punk's back and forth with Becky Lynch, as well as Seth Rollins' most memeable face of all time? No way. It's perfect.
That was a pretty good face. I gotta think, me and Anthony, we understood the assignment, right? Great minds think alike, representing CM Punk here. I gotta say, I never thought this would happen. And it's not because AJ Lee and WWE ended off in a sour note. It's just that AJ Lee, you know, she's done acting. She's an author, right? I always thought that there was no reason for her to come back. So the fact that she is back, I mean, it's crazy. You said it best. It's like out of a time machine, right? It's like she never left. I think she just like looks, you know, she's in great shape, but she's still the same person, right? Love bite shirt, you know, skipping around, and she's doing the same mannerisms as before. Like it's literally like time went by, but it also didn't. You know, it's like she did not lose a step, or in this case, lose a skip. This was cool, man. Crowd absolutely ate this up. It's definitely going to be one of the biggest, probably the best moment of the year for WWE, in my opinion, unless something, actually, maybe John Cena leaving might be one of the bigger ones, but this is going to be one that'll be talked about forever. I mean, dude, I have friends who were crying, like legit tears, because of this happening. And it just goes to show how much wrestling can mean to one person, right? Where it's like, despite the world that we live in, we have this little space where we can watch professional wrestling and we can all be fans of it, right? It doesn't matter what you're a fan of, but these moments help make, you know, being a wrestling fan so special. And this was one of those moments. This was one of those nights, right? It's magical, as you can say, right? CM Punk, he came back to Chicago 2 years ago, right? I was jumping up and down in my house, dude. I was losing my mind last night, right? Other people shared that same reaction because AJ Lee came back. Becky Lynch, I got to agree. She's doing such amazing work. She really is such an amazing heel. Honestly, a part of me doesn't even want to see her become a face anymore. Like, she just is so good at being a heel. She's a likable person in real life, but the way that she plays along the crowd, the way that, you know, she's obviously trying to get in Punk's nerves, and the way that Seth and Becky are such a good tandem together, honestly, I think it's super entertaining.
I think it's fascinating, and it's interesting because I was thinking about this yesterday after, obviously, we saw what went down and everything. You know, big time Bex didn't exactly land. I think we can all kind of agree on that. She learned. She went back to the drawing board and goes, nah, this time I know what to do. That to me is as impressive as if she just, had the natural talent in her the whole time. She learned from the first try, and this time the heelish stuff lands
Yeah, it does.
perfectly. She was so hateable. Chicago is a crowd you got to be careful with. We all know that, right? Like,
Yeah.
they
You have to
can
earn their
easily film
respect.
this. And we've got
Well-
Andrea with an awesome comment here, which is, I'm pretty new to wrestling, so I didn't know AJ back in the day, but I'm high on everybody's joy and excitement. This is why I've fallen in love with wrestling. The sharing of collective emotions. Yes,
Agreed.
that is what it's all about. I love that quantifies that. So let me toss this to one of my favorite and biggest wrestling fans that I know, Anthony, because I know that you have thoughts on this one.
A lot.
Interesting question I want to lead with because I don't want to throw you off. Is this the most impactful return to WWE in the Rosemont since 2020?
You're awfully specific. No, it's probably the greatest women's return to wrestling of anybody. I know people are debating that. I do find it ironic that the same person that has been in 3 of the biggest returns of all time to the company is Seth. WrestleMania 38 with Cody, Survivor Series with Punk, and now AJ Lee. When you look at the CM Punk return, the AJ Lee thing, the fallout that happened 11 years ago with Punk, with his bitter divorce from WWE, he lost his passion for the business. It was a toxic work environment for him, and they didn't like him. He didn't like them. The casualty that people I don't think really remember with this is AJ Lee, because she stayed in the company for a little while after the Punk breakup. So she had to deal with not only potential backstage animosity from the office, maybe other talent. Also, every time she went out in that ring, all she would hear was her husband's name getting chanted. They didn't care about anything but chanting Punk's name. So, that probably hurt her mentally too, of like, I can't stay here either. There's no place else to go at the time. So seeing how happy Punk is back, we've seen it. We've heard him talk about it. We've heard him talk about everybody going, where's AJ? Is AJ coming back? And he said, he's like, when she's ready, he goes, I've told her it's not the same place that we left. It's better. You could see how happy Punk was watching her out there. And that's one of those little things that you got to kind of pay attention to. I saw a great clip that somebody showed when AJ was in the ring, and somebody, I guess, shot it from behind. And this is a subtle thing, staying in the moment. Punk is literally flipping off Seth in the skybox. And to me, that added to it, because I'm like, that's great, because that the in-house crowd sees this, no one else does. But to keep in the moment.
Absolutely.
AJ being the crazy one, like Michael Cole said, make crazy look cool. The fact you skipping down to the ring, playing mind games, while Becky, who is the GOAT when it comes to the 4 horsewomen, completely sold that perfectly. And she just played it up, and it was great. I just loved how they did it. The only negative I would say is the beginning part with Punk and Becky. It felt a little too repetitive of what just happened Monday.
It felt like a reminder. I was going to say the
So-
exact same thing. Sorry, not to
so-
cut you off, but like, yeah.
So to me, I would have had it, okay, Punk would have went, listen, we're not having a repeat of what happened on Monday. I'm giving you this one warning. This is between me and your husband. Do not mess with me. I won't touch you. And Becky goes up to slap him again. And that's when the music hits.
That's where
That's what I would have done. I would not have done the slaps and then him going outside the ring and then doing the whole thing. I wouldn't have done that. That's the only thing I would have done different.
I will say the slaps. The one thing I liked about it is she laid the slaps.
And
she was hitting the,
and I'm
you know what, out of him.
And I'm sure Punk told her,
Yeah.
one day probably told her, like, lay him in.
Get after it.
Do
like,
it,
no,
do it,
that
make sure
was
it's
no.
legit.
There was one she hit him, and I was like, that wasn't even a slap. That was a palm strike. Like,
Yeah.
she like chinned him on the one. Did you see it to his face?
Yes.
He kind of looked like, whoa.
And honestly, like,
There is, because she hit like probably 15.
it is the perfect feud for all four of these people.
Oh,
I agree.
yeah.
Because it's based on something real. Like, you know, it blurs the lines because we know Seth and Punk don't like
Yeah.
each other, at least as far as we know. Although on WWE Unreal, we've seen them in the circle discussing the chamber. But it's enough intrigue with it where
Monster
you're like,
shout
you're
out.
not sure what part's scripted, what part's like, nah, you know. So I think this is nothing but a benefit for Punk, for AJ, for the company, for everybody involved.
This is super interesting from Donnie. I'm going to read this comment, but I'm going to watch KU Mizzou, my friends, and then we're going to go home. Okay. I get the approach, but I like how they did it because he told Becky, you pushed me, like he gave her another chance and he didn't want to have to bring AJ, but you done did it now. That's a really good point.
That's a
It
fair
did
point.
feel a little bit like Punk deserves some credit for like, actually, no, I got her. What I would have loved to have seen is like she's not here out of Becky at most. That would
which she said on Monday.
Like,
she said
right?
it on Monday. Yeah.
She's not here.
Yeah.
Last night, if she hit that line again, play the hits, right? Billy Joel. But just play the hits and sell out the crowd, right? Like if she just said that last night, that would have. I still think it's nearly a perfect segment. And truthfully, I need to watch my University of Kansas Rock Chalk Jayhawks take on the University of Missouri. It's killing me right now. This is one of my favorite shows I've ever been a part of, but I'm about to get really nervous. Kickoff was 13 minutes ago. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what the first drive looked like. So that is going to bring us to the end of the show. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Of course, that is noon Pacific. That's 3 o'clock over on the East Coast. That's 8 o'clock in the UK and 9 a.m. for my good friends over in Hawaii. On behalf of me, Des, Anthony Ricciardi, and everybody at WR, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'm going to try to. It's pending the result of one sporting contest, but we'll figure that out and we'll talk to you soon.